Today we're talking about Lincoln steel wheat pennies that look rough, worn, dark, or even ruined, but could secretly be worth life-changing money. So before you clean that old penny, before you throw it into the Coinstar machine, before you assume it's just junk, you need to hear this. Picture this for a moment. You're digging through an old coffee can full of pennies your father or grandfather saved decades ago. Most of them are brown, some are dark, some are sticky, and then you spot one that looks strange. It's gray. Maybe even a little rusty. It doesn't look like a penny at all. In fact, it almost looks fake. Most people would toss it aside. But if that coin says 1943, you could be holding one of the most fascinating and valuable Lincoln wheat pennies ever made. In 1943, the United States was deep in World War II. Copper was desperately needed for ammunition and military equipment. So the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. Instead of copper, they struck pennies using zinc-coated steel. For one single year, the familiar brown Lincoln wheat cent turned silver gray. That means every genuine 1943 Lincoln wheat penny should stick to a magnet. And that simple fact is your first powerful clue. If you find a 1943 penny and it does not stick to a magnet, stop everything. Because that's where the real money begins. Now, most 1943 steel cents are common. Millions and millions were made at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. In circulated condition, especially when they look dull, dark, scratched, or even lightly rusted, they might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars. But here's what most people over 50 remember. Steel pennies rust. They stain. They discolor. They look ugly fast. And because of that, many were thrown away, spent carelessly, or damaged over the years. But condition still matters. A bright, shiny 1943 steel cent with strong detail and no major corrosion can sell for $25, $50, even $100, or more depending on grade. If it's in pristine, uncirculated condition with original luster, it can climb into the hundreds. But that's not the story that makes headlines. The real legend, the coin that changed lives, is the 1943 copper penny. Here's what happened. When the mint switched to steel in 1943, a few leftover copper planchets from 1942 were accidentally left in the coin presses. A tiny number of 1943 pennies were struck on copper instead of steel. And those mistakes became some of the most valuable coins in American history. One 1943 copper Lincoln cent sold for over $400,000. Another example crossed the auction block for more than $1 million in private sales. Let that sink in. A penny. Worth more than most homes. And the crazy part? They look completely normal. Brown. Ordinary. Just like any other wheat penny. The only difference is the date, 1943. That's why the magnet test is so powerful. A real 1943 steel penny sticks. A rare 1943 copper penny does not. Now, before you get too excited, there's something important you need to know. Many steel pennies were plated with copper by scammers trying to fake the rare version. So just because a 1943 penny looks brown doesn't automatically mean you've hit the jackpot. Here's what you should look for. First, check the weight. A steel cent weighs about 2.7 grams. A copper cent weighs about 3.11 grams. That tiny difference is critical. Second, look closely at the surface. A copper-plated steel cent will often show bubbling, flaking, or patches where the silver color peeks through underneath. Third, examine the date carefully. Some counterfeiters alter a 1948 penny by shaving down the 8 to look like a 3. Under magnification, the tampering is usually visible. But here's something encouraging. Even if you don't find the rare copper error, some 1943 steel pennies are still worth serious money, especially certain mint marks. If you see a small D under the date, that means it was struck in Denver. An S means San Francisco. While all three mints made large quantities, high-grade examples from certain mints can bring strong premiums. And there's another hidden opportunity many collectors miss. Some 1943 steel cents were struck with dramatic errors, off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets. Because the steel composition was harder than copper, striking problems sometimes created bold, eye-catching mistakes. Those error coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on how dramatic the mistake is. Now let's talk about the ugly factor. If you find a 1943 steel penny that looks dark gray, spotted, or lightly rusted, do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Collectors actually expect older steel cents to show aging. Light toning or even minor spotting is normal. But harsh cleaning scratches the surface and removes what little original zinc coating remains. And once that's gone, the coin can never be restored. Many people in the 1960s and 70s cleaned their steel cents trying to make them shiny again. Those coins today are worth far less than untouched examples. So if you find one, leave it exactly as it is. Now imagine this scenario. You're going through an inherited coin jar. You see a dull gray penny. It sticks to a magnet. It looks worn. Maybe it's scratched. Maybe it's dark. You almost ignore it. But you notice it has sharp detail. Lincoln's coat lines are visible. The wheat stalks on the back are strong. The rims are solid. That coin could easily be worth far more than 1 cent. In higher circulated grades, $10 to $25 is common. In uncirculated grades, much more. And if by some miracle it doesn't stick to the magnet, you may want to sit down before you continue. Because that's when you contact a professional coin grading service and have it authenticated immediately. Here's why this matters so much to our generation. People over 50 grew up when pennies actually meant something. You remember buying candy for a few cents. You remember saving coins in jars. You remember when your parents told you not to waste money. And many families saved 1943 steel pennies as wartime souvenirs. They were different. They were memorable. Kids showed them to friends because they looked unusual. That means there are still old collections out there. Still jars. Still forgotten envelopes. Still dresser drawers that haven't been opened in decades. And hidden inside, there could be a 1943 penny that looks scratched, worn, maybe even a little ugly. But is secretly worth a fortune. So tonight, take 5 minutes. Grab a magnet. Dump out that old jar. Look for the date 1943. Test it. Examine it carefully. Because this is one of those rare coins where a simple one-year change in metal created a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And sometimes the coin that looks the worst, turns out to be the one that changes everything.